Okay, we should be live. Double check. Yep, we're live. Awesome. Well, we are live. Kim and I are here today to talk about secure relationships and answer some questions. We've had people submit over 20 questions for this AMA, and we're going to take some time to go through that. Before we get into those questions, one of the things I want to take some time to do is actually introduce Kim. So Kim is someone I've known for quite some time and a really dear friend of mine who's also an amazing couples therapist. Kim is certified in emotionally focused couples therapy, as well as a supervisor, and also a certified sex therapist and supervisor. Kim, I'm so glad to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Kyle. It's always fun to do these kinds of things.
It is. It's a lot of fun. So why don't we go ahead and get started and start. I'm going to pop some of the questions that we got in the comments, and we will start to work through them. Sound good, Kim?
Sounds great.
And anyone who's joining us, if you have any comments, please just add it. It should pop on Facebook or as well as Instagram. And you can just post it in the comments. That'll come up in our software, and we will do our best to address those questions.
And this is being recorded. So we want you to know that we will have these things recorded so you can watch back. But also, if you don't want things private on the chat, this is probably not a good place to post because it will be recorded. Yes. So you can reach out to us individually if you need that.
Yeah. So here's our first question that we got. So someone's in a relationship. It's in a relationship they've been in for a few years. They've had a history of being cheated on in past relationships, and so that's a wound for them. And they're in a relationship now that feels really secure, but their partner has cheated in past relationships. And so they are asked Kim and I, how do I trust my partner? How do I feel secure with them? Kim, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, it's scary because the partner has had a cheating relationship in the past, not with you, but in the past. And you're trying to lean in and build that security with this other person. The big thing is that unfortunately, and this is what's scary about love, is that there's no guarantee. And we are hurt in relationships. I mean, that's part of relationships, even secure ones. We hurt each other. So what do? Number one, we've got to talk about our fears and be really, really transparent. That is a secure relationship. A secure relationship can say to my partner, hey, I know you haven't cheated on me, but this is part of your story in the past. And I'm scared. I'm scared that might happen to us, and I don't want it to happen. And what are some ways do you know? Some ways that you felt like you weren't getting your needs met, that you went outside of the relationship, so that we can address that in our relationship, right? If you feel like you're attracted to somebody else or you're thinking about going into another relationship, can we talk about it? And so that we can get our needs met together.
And this is what's so important, is being able to dialogue and actually get into conversation with your partner about these fears, as well as what you need to feel secure, and also what they need, which is, hey, what did lead you to go outside of it? Were these certain needs not being met? Were you feeling neglected? Were you not feeling appreciated? And how do we work together as partners to create that secure relationship? And so that's really kind of very, very important. The other thing that's also important is if your partner is reassuring, is like, yeah, we're already doing those things that I was not getting in that relationship, and there's still kind of that anxiety. How can you let them know, okay, I'm really trying to take that in, and it's still scary for me. It's still scary for me to lean in to the relationship, and have them, if they're validating and understanding that, then you take in that experience that they're there for you and really want to work on this relationship with you.
Yeah, it's scary. And I can hear my clients in my head right now, Kyle, saying, do people really talk like this? And yes, I mean, it's not something that we've been taught, but it is something that we can learn, where we can be really, really vulnerable with each other and say, I am scared. I know that you're getting all the needs that you need from me. I know you haven't cheated on me yet. And I know that you promise that you'll never do that to me. And I'm afraid. And then the person respond not in defensiveness, but like, of course you're afraid. I get that. And I'm here. And I love you. And I'm committed. So it's about being able to tell how you feel. And it's also about your partner being not defensive of those feelings and able to move in and comfort those.
Exactly. So I hope this helps. Feel free to add any other comments if this question is relevant to you. What Kim and I want to do next is we're going to move on to the next question that we got. So a similar thing that shows up for some individuals in relationships is when we're with someone, even if it's a good relationship or a secure relationship, when our partner has more sexual experience or has more sexual partners than us. And really what we got from the question that was asked was, how do I feel secure in this relationship when there is that difference between us?
Such a normal experience, number one,
Mm-hmm.
because sexuality can be very vulnerable. And so if you're with somebody who has more experience, or you feel like they have more experience, what often says to us, to ourselves, is, I'm not good enough. What if I'm not a good lover? What if I can't do it right?
Mm-hmm.
Very, 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 very normal. You know, even if you've had lots of partners, you might still feel insecure and say, am I doing this right? Am I a good lover? Am I giving pleasure the way that my partner wants? Right? So what do we do, Kyle? What do we do with that?
Well, the thing is, we want to start to talk to our partners about that. We want to be able to let them know that we do have some of that anxiety of, okay, you've had these other partners, and that makes me scared that kind of, if we go really into attachment fears, that I'm not a good enough lover. I'm not, that you're better than me. And because there's that difference, that makes me scared. And the meaning I make of that I won't be enough. And then you will end up leaving me. Am I right, Kim? Does that kind of get?
Oh, yeah. And you think about how vulnerable that is to say, am I a good lover? Because I'm really scared that maybe you're not getting your needs met. So where do we begin with that? Because that's a huge leap, right? For most people, that is a huge leap. So we've got to start at the beginning, which is like, let's talk during sex.
Mhm.
You know, let's say, does this feel good as you're touching somebody? Or let me show you how to touch me. Or, yes, I'm enjoying this. Okay. So we start smaller, which is, how do you communicate before sex to say, what do you want to do and what don't you want to do?
Mhm.
How do you communicate during sex? Is it just silent? Is it just moans? Is it just facial expressions? We want words too, right?
Right.
We want words like, this feels good. I'll do this more. I'm not sure if I like this. Can we try something else? We want to be able to talk during sex. And then how do we talk after to check in to see how that experience was?
And that's even that for a lot of people is really hard to even talk during or even after sex or even before. Right? We know a majority of couples, even from some research, that they don't. It's really uncomfortable to talk about it. And then even to talk of like, this is what's pleasurable in intimacy, this is what's not while you're being sexual, is really, really vulnerable. And when we,
So vulnerable.
it is. And when we do that, our partner gets to know what feels good for us and gets to become a better lover for us. And we get to help guide them to do that, just as they get to help guide us into what's pleasurable for them. And that open dialogue, even though it's a little bit vulnerable, not going into the real deep attachment fears, starts to create a sense of, okay, in this journey of being intimate together, we're doing that together. We're talking about it. We're naming what feels good. We're naming what doesn't, and working together to make it really connecting and sensual experience.
Mm-hmm. Media has not done us any favors. And this is my bias, okay? But media has not done us any favors. You know, you look across the room, you see the person you're attracted to, you move close, and then all of a sudden you guys are ripping off each other's clothes and having great sex. That does not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, that does not happen. You've got to talk. You've got to say, what do you like? What don't you like? Can I touch you here? Asking, getting consent, checking in is hot.
It is. And so many couples, when I'm working with them and they are much more clear about what feels good, their partner's like, oh, that's exciting. It's actually a turn on to know when something feels good for you. It's exciting. It's arousing to know what pleases you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in this question too, there's another myth here that good sexual partners comes from having experience with multiple partners.
Mm.
And that is false. We can have 10, 20 partners where we don't communicate, it doesn't have deep connection, we don't get to explore too much sexually, and we can have those partners, or we could also have a few partners and have really good sex where there is communication, where there is adventure, where there is exploration, where there is play and a felt sense of security. And so I kind of, in addressing this question of worry about my partner has more sexual partners, it's really important to hold that myth and combat it. Just because we have more partners doesn't mean that we have better sexual experiences overall.
That is so true. And what is really important is to co-create, and this is what, Kyle, you and I are talking about, but I want to put it to words, is that we co-create with the partner that we're with a sexual experience. And it can be different than what we've had and with anybody else. But when it's co-created and both people are experiencing pleasure, that's when the great sex happens.
Yeah, it really does. Okay, so we're going to hop into our next question. This is a very big question we get a lot. So my partner is avoidant, I'm anxious. How do we change those patterns? And really kind of at the age of 60, being anxious almost my whole life, how does that actually change? Kim, do you want to start with that?
Oh, yeah. This is actually a really common cycle that couples get into, right? There's one who is the pursuer, which is the anxious partner. And that pursuer will come out and poke and kind of get clingy or needy, sometimes even name call, right? Get critical, demanding. And then the avoidant partner, we call the withdrawer, tends to withdraw. They tend to go into their shell. They can become defensive. I like to say they give a resume. You know, when somebody all of a sudden just says, "Why haven't you done this?" And they go, "Well, I've done this and this and this and this and this." That beautiful resume. And then the cycle just continues.
Right.
Right. What I hear though is like, I've been anxious for 60 years. Is there a way to change? I just want to just acknowledge this before I send this to you, Kyle, to kind of go deeper in this, is that I'm hearing a fear of, is change possible? That's what I'm hearing. It's like, I've been this way for so long. And what I love is that our attachment styles were learned.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever we learn, we can unlearn. That's the good news. Even if you've been doing it for 60 years, you can unlearn it and you can learn new stuff. So how do we do it, Kyle? How do, after all of that time, we change our anxious and avoidant styles?
It starts with really starting to understand kind of what happens to us and why we do what we do, right? And so, for example, if we're that partner who gets really critical and angry and tells our partner how they can't show up for us, and there's something going on for us in that, right? And so we are getting critical, right? That's one of Gottman's four horsemen that we know attacks our partner's character. So why would we do that with someone we love? Well, underneath that behavior is these bigger worries of, well, my needs don't matter, or I'm really scared that I don't matter to you. And so it's a lot safer for me emotionally to poke you or be a little bit clingy than it is to let you know that I'm scared I don't matter.
Mm.
And so that's kind of the starting place, is we have to be able to slow down and be able to understand our what Kim would call our moves in our patterns. And the same goes for the withdrawer, is we got to start to understand what happens, because that's where we start to see a pattern that comes between the partners and actually sabotages what both partners want, which is to feel connection, which is to feel love, which is to feel that they're in this relationship together. Kim, do you want to add to that?
Well, actually, I just wanted to be, really make it clear what I think that you're saying, Kyle, and correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing is the first step to change this dynamic is not to change our partner,
Mhm.
but actually to look at ourselves and to say, why do I do what I do? So all behavior makes sense. Everything that we do makes sense. It has a reason.
And this is so, and I would just want to interrupt you here really quick. Kim are saying this because we're looking at relationship through an attachment lens. And when you look at relationship through an attachment lens, all behavior makes sense because there's underlying things that are going on. Kim, can you highlight some of those things?
Yeah, for example, if I'm getting louder,
Mhm.
if I can slow myself down just for a moment, why am I getting so loud? I'm feeling unheard.
Mhm.
And let's say I am being unheard. What does that say to me? Even deeper, right? We're going to go deeper here. Is that I'm alone? I don't know if I can handle it. I'm feeling very isolated and scared. Okay. So then I can go to my partner and say, hey, I'm wanting to yell right now. It's because I'm feeling unheard.
Mhm.
But really, underneath that is that I just feel so alone, like I cannot do it. And I really need your help. Can you help me? That would be a pursuer. Okay.
Right. And I want to go slow here. So this is really important, and I don't want us to miss this. What Kim is doing is what we call a detour moment. And we talk about this in our secure attachment path course. And so what Kim is doing is she's exploring why do I do this, and what's the underlying attachment, fear, or need of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and how do I bring that to my partner in a way that they can see that, right, Kim?
Yeah. And so the detour moment,
Mhm.
right, is that instead of yelling and getting louder, I go, I'm about to yell. Let me slow down.
Mhm.
Let me really get inside myself and figure this out. And instead of yelling, this is the detour. I'm going to go this way and I'm going to say, I feel overwhelmed. I feel unheard. I feel lost. Help me. So instead of going down the line of getting louder, name calling, poking, you're never there for me, I'm going to switch and go to, I'm scared. I need you. Please help me.
And this is what is so important when we're working with our clients, especially in a relationship or in couples therapy. This is what we help them do. We
This is
help
what we
them,
do.
we slow them down, and we help them see, oh, I do this because this is what's underneath that. And
Mhm.
then they share what's underneath that with their partner. And Kim, what does their partner often do when they see that softer side?
Oh, they get soft.
They get soft. They
They
come
get
closer.
soft. The withdrawer all of a sudden says, I don't want you to feel alone. But this is what the withdrawer will say, usually in therapy as we're helping them, right? It was like, I don't want you to feel alone, and I don't know how to help.
Right.
Or I've tried X, Y, or Z. There's their resume. I've tried this and this and this, and it never calmed you. So instead of saying, I don't know how to help you, but I want to, I withdraw. So that's the detour moment of the withdrawer, right? The withdrawer, instead of just withdrawing or saying, well, I've done this and this and this, and it doesn't help you. So why keep trying?
Right. I'm done.
I'm done. I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
I say, I don't want you to be upset. Here's the detour. I don't want you to be upset, but I don't know how to help. I want to help, but I don't know how. Can we figure this out together?
Mm-hmm.
And so then the pursuer, the anxious partner, and the withdrawer, the avoidant partner, starts to work as a team
Right.
to figure out how to comfort each other instead of enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
get
so I'm
excited about this stuff, Kyle. It's good stuff.
Well, it's good stuff because we know it works when we do it with our couples, and we really believe in how much it causes change because we've seen the change in our sessions. We've seen the change in our work. And so it is possible. And so I want to go on to another one that actually addresses, again, anxious and avoidant relationships. And we'll kind of, again, highlight what Kim and I are talking about here. So the question is, my partner is avoidant and does not meet my needs. How do I get them to be aware of their attachment style to get my needs met without sounding critical?
Yeah, this pursuer withdraw is right here.
Mm-hmm.
I need my needs met. That's the pursuer, right? What I love about this question, it says, I don't know how to do it without being critical.
Right.
I need help.
Mm-hmm.
That's that detour that we're talking about, right? And so that is the beginning sign of I'm needing something, but let's make it really clear what it is, right? Ambiguity doesn't really work. So it's like, I am needing you to listen to me. I am needing help around the house. Well, what kind of help? I am needing garbage to be taken out once a week, very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm feeling like those needs aren't being met, and I don't want to be critical, but I don't know how to get this without making you withdraw. Can you help me out here, honey? Right. So even in this, we see the pursuer. I'm not getting my needs met, and I get critical, but I don't want to. And then you see the avoidant. He's
Mm-hmm.
just like, I'm not going to help. I can't do this. So I'm going to withdraw.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But what I love about this question is that the person knows I get critical.
Right.
And so the detour is owning that. I get critical because I feel unheard, and I don't want to do that to you.
Right.
Can you help me?
Mm-hmm. And so this is what we call kind of reaching for your partner from a softer place and giving them a chance to work with you. And so this is really important in those moments of frustration and pain where we're not feeling like our needs are met, or we're not feeling like we're in a partnership. That's really helpful. I also really want to encourage you, especially if you find yourself pokey and your needs are not met, to also work on creating a secure attachment environment where you're also telling your partner what they're doing right. Oh, like you did this. Thank you for that. I really saw this, because a lot of what I find too in my work, for both partners, both anxious and avoidant, need to be seen.
Yeah.
Right. And the avoidant often comes in and again go, well, I did this and this and this. And the whole reason they give the resume is because they're feeling those things don't matter and they're not seen, which gives us information that day to day, those things are not being acknowledged, not being thanked. And partners are missing out on those opportunities to do those small things that actually cause us to build a relationship and feel more secure with each other. So that would be something I'd really encourage partners to do, is to be able to make those comments and highlight what your partner's doing right and thank them, and work together on creating a culture in the relationship where that becomes a norm.
Mhm. I want to slow that down. I don't want to miss this because this is huge. Because I don't know how many times in sessions where the pursuer will say, my partner did this and it really made me feel loved.
Right.
And then they don't go any farther.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I have to say something like, can you tell them that?
Right.
You did whatever the act was.
Mm-hmm.
It made me feel loved.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Right.
And this is what I need going forward. Thank you for doing it for me. I don't know why, but we forget to say thank you. We
Mm-hmm.
forget to say, hey, the way that you showed up for me really helped me. Thank you.
And it's so important because, especially avoidant partners who are so fearful of getting it wrong, they actually need to know when they get it right. Because a lot of them are like, I tried that. I did this. I said this advice. I tried to connect with you emotionally and it still wasn't right. But when they show up and meet you and you feel that connection, you feel it need, it's really important to highlight that this is what I need. I need that. You just shared an emotion with me and you told me that when I was feeling insecure, you were feeling sad. And I got this message that my fears mattered to you. That's what I need.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the other partner's going, oh, wait, this is a lot different than what I thought it'd be. But I guess this is what my partner needs. This is what works for them. And if we can stay in heighten, what Kim and I call heighten that moment and highlight how good it is and how it's the right thing, it's how it's what we need, we're giving a partner a really clear recipe on how to be successful with us. And they want that.
Yeah. Yeah. And even the withdrawer, when the withdrawer can look at the pursuer and say, you know, I tried something and I didn't get it right. But you didn't criticize me.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't nag me. That felt really good. It made me want to show up for you more. Thank you.
Yep.
That's what I need.
Mm-hmm. I need to know I can get it right with you. Because when I get it right with you, I feel like a good partner. And when I get it wrong, I feel like a bad partner. And that's often why I pull away. Because it's actually painful for me to feel like I'm a bad partner to the person I love most in this world.
And this goes back to all behavior makes sense. Because if you feel like you're a terrible partner and you can never do things right, I don't know. I think I'd withdraw.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be like, what's the point?
Right.
Right. So all behavior makes sense. And if I felt unheard and I felt like I was drowning and my partner is on the beach with a life preserver and they're not throwing me a line, I think I would scream.
Right. And this, I think, is what is so important about attachment that gets missed. Is attachment is when we're in a significant relationship, we become biologically wired. We actually look to each other for survival. And so we get louder when we can't reach someone. We do pull away when we feel like we're failing because it's an important relationship.
I love what you just said because we are wired for this. And if we do not get our needs met or we feel like they're not met, what kicks in is a primal instinct.
Right.
A different part of our brain, I mean, if we want to get really scientific here, a different part of our brain gets activated. We stop listening because all we're doing is thinking, I need to be safe.
Right.
That's what our brain does.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be safe. And so that's what we do. We protect ourselves.
And some people protect themselves by yelling. Some people protect themselves by disappearing.
Yeah.
That's the fight or flight. When we can't reach each other, when we don't feel secure, our survival responses show up because that is our strategy to protect ourselves or try to get a sense of connection in the relationship so we can feel safe again.
Yeah. And that just makes me so, I don't know what feeling I'm feeling. A little bit of emotion, is coming up here, of this feeling of, gosh, we need each other.
Mhm.
We need each other to feel safe. We need each other. We can't do this world by ourselves. We need each other. And when we feel that those needs aren't met, we will go into those primal places. And our brain does stop listening to our partner because the only thing it cares about is protecting itself. Of course. Makes sense.
Yep. Exactly. Okay, so I feel like we've spent a lot of good time on this question. So let's shift to another one. Is that good, Kim?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got this message from someone for this event is that it said, I feel not good enough. I'm so needy. And there's this lack of intimacy in the relationship, and I'm dissatisfied with the relationship. And really kind of the question is, why do I not feel good enough? Why am I so needy? And this person's wanting some help on how to do this differently. Kim,
Yeah.
can you start with this one?
Well, what really touches me about that is even in the question, I hear um, some pain,
Mhm.
right? Of not feeling good enough. That's painful. And of course, if you don't feel good enough, it's really hard to be intimate with somebody else because you're vulnerable. It's hard to show up. It's hard to show up. And of course, they're dissatisfied with the relationship, right? It's because they don't feel good enough. And of course, they're needy because they keep asking for reassurance.
Mhm.
Please let me know that I matter. Please don't sit in this feeling of that I'm not good enough.
Mhm.
So, of course, they're going to go and grab on and feel needy.
Mhm.
Because who wants to feel that way?
Right.
So, what do we do, Kyle, when we're stuck in that cycle where in ourselves we just feel like, am I really worth it?
I think going back to really starting to slow down and understand why we do what we do. You just talked about it. If I'm not feeling good enough, I'm going to reach out all the time for reassurance that I matter. And if I'm not getting a clear signal and taking that in emotionally to trust that, I'm going to stay in that doing the same thing
Mm-hmm.
because I'm trying to get the reassurance that you choose me, I'm good enough in your eyes, and you want a relationship with me.
Yeah.
And then adding on to this, right? This individual's letting us know there's a lack of intimacy, and there's that lack of connection that probably is adding to the feeling of not being good enough, adding to the feeling of pursuing or wanting more connection.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, what do we do when there is that kind of there's the pattern of not feeling good enough, and how we're leaning out, how we're acting with that, and what about how that shows up with intimacy?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I want to acknowledge is that I'm not good enough was taught. Okay. So we did not come into this world saying we're not good enough. So somehow we got that message. And when we're hurt in relationships, we heal in relationships. Right. So we need to create a safe place for us to be reminded by those around us that we are good enough, that we matter in the world, right? When we're able to kind of open up to that message about ourselves, because if we've heard this for a long time that I'm not good enough, there's kind of like a block that gets in the way. And so people tell us that we're great and we kind of go like in one ear and out the other. So we have to kind of slow down and like really absorb that truth.
Mhm.
And when we can absorb that truth and allow ourselves permission to believe this about ourselves, it opens up the door for us to have deeper intimacy,
Right.
because we're allowing ourselves to receive love and affirmation from somebody else,
Mhm.
which gives us permission to give love and affirmation to another.
And I think there's something so important here, right? If we imagine just like our body, right, our emotional wounds are not much different than a physical wound on our body. And so if we have this wound and we've been keeping it from people and going, well, it's a bad wound, I don't want you to see it, it's just really bad, it feels infected. And then we take the risk to show it to a partner and let them see the wound and allow their words to become kind of a neosporin on that wound.
Mm.
We actually start to take in a different message than what was ingrained earlier on in our life, right? You got that message in with your parents or your caregivers. You got that message from culture or in past relationships. And it's pretty vulnerable to let your partner see that kind of wound or raw spot, and them saying, actually, you are good enough in my eyes.
Mm.
This is what I love about you. This is why I choose you. And for you to go, okay, let that actually be the neosporin for this wound. I'm going to take it in and I'm going to let this kind of protect that place and trust that the person I just was really vulnerable with is being honest with me and does see me that way. And I'm going to make space on the inside to really take that in.
Mm. You know what that makes me think of, Kyle, is how brave people are to show a wound and
Mhm.
then to allow somebody else to come and heal that.
Mhm.
Brave.
It is brave. And this is what's also so scary. Right? You and I see this when we're working with our clients is the wound is there and they're going, nah, I'm going to put my wall up because you're saying the thing I want, but I'm not. That there's a block that says it's too terrifying to let you actually touch the wound.
Yeah,
And
which makes sense because people have hurt us in the past.
exactly. And so the block is there for a reason.
Yeah.
And when we can talk about that block, we can talk about why it's there and let our partner in. That's again letting our partner actually get closer to the wound, letting them get to know why the wound is here, letting them get to know maybe how it's been touched, even in the relationship, and giving them a chance to show up for us in a way that's healing. And Kim, just like you said, we get hurt in relationships, we get attachment injuries. We can get attachment healing in relationships too.
Mm, absolutely. We need each other to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, because life is hard and we relationships hurt too, right?
And you're absolutely right. So I want to go further with that question. Let's come back to the intimacy part and that dissatisfaction. What are your thoughts on that, Kim?
Well, number one, it makes sense, right? Because if I feel not good enough, then I'm not really going to be showing up as my full self
Mm-hmm.
intimately, right? I'm going to be hiding some of myself,
Mm-hmm.
which just continues the cycle of not feeling good enough.
And sometimes, may I jump in, Kim, for a second?
Please.
Sometimes when we're not feeling good enough, is we might push for more and more and more and more and more and more intimacy to try to feel like we're good enough. And then our partner, in our pushing for more and more and more, feels like they're not enough.
Right, right. Especially if we're pushing, 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 and our partner's going like, whoa, This is a lot.
Mhm.
And so we hear the no as a reflection of ourselves. This is a common pattern in sex and intimacy, where when our partner says no, we internalize it as something that we've done wrong instead of just like a no is like, that's just not what my body wants right now. And that is can be okay. It's not a rejection of you. It's actually where I'm at.
Mhm.
Right. So a couple of things is number one, we got to get more comfortable with the word no and not let that no mean that somehow we failed.
Right.
That's a job. And not an easy one to unwind. So I just want to normalize it, but it is possible.
Right.
And we want to be, this is where we talk before, during, and after.
Mhm.
I'm feeling really insecure right now. I need a hug.
Mhm.
I'm feeling really insecure right now and I want to feel close to you. And the way that I feel close to you is to have sex. Are you open to that tonight?
Mhm.
Right? I'm feeling myself really wanting to touch you. Is this okay?
Mhm.
Or I'm feeling really insecure and I don't want to have sex tonight because I'm telling myself that I don't like who I am, how I look, how my body is showing up right now. And so actually, I withdraw from sex. I feel not good enough to make love to you.
Mhm.
So it can show up either way. Either I want, I want, I want, I want, I want, or please keep the lights off,
Mhm.
or please not tonight.
And what do we do in those moments when our partner is feeling like they're not enough and they're saying no? How do we cope with that? And why is it so important to maybe honor where our partner's at?
Well, we want to honor where our partner's at is because we want to build trust and we want them to trust that our words and our actions are safe.
Mhm.
So if they say no, and because they're feeling insecure, we can say, I totally respect that.
Mhm.
And I want you to know that I think that you are a gorgeous, handsome, sexy, strong human.
Mhm.
And I love having sex with you. And I love having pleasure with you. And I love playing with you erotically. So when you're ready, I'll be here.
Right. So I think there's something so important that I just want to highlight is Kim, you are creating that felt sense of security, right, in
Mm,
the relationship by showing up that way. And so when our partners are like, and I think this happens all, I'm not feeling sexy, I'm not feeling great in my body. I might even have some self-judgment about where my body's at. And they're letting you into that and they're being vulnerable. And you can go, of course, I will give you that space. There's no pressure to be intimate because we're not taking it as a personal rejection. We're actually hearing our partner that this is more about where they're at and they're not really open to intimacy right now. And then we can give them a different message, which is, hey, I hear that that's how you see yourself. I want you to know how I see you.
mm,
Doesn't mean that lovely comments, Kim, that you made is going to lead to intimacy after your partner saying no. But what it does is it creates a sense of safety and security in the relationship for your partner to be honest with you and for you to show up honoring where they're at and inviting a secure message about how you see them that builds the trust and safety in the relationship for there to be great sex next time.
Basically, what you just said was you were the Neosporin.
Mhm.
You honored the no. You spoke to the insecurity. You created that safety. You just put some Neosporin on the wound.
Right.
Not feeling good enough.
Mhm.
And as that heals, intimacy increases
Yes. And
and great sex occurs.
mhm. Because I'm feeling safe,
Mm,
because I'm feeling good enough, because I feel secure with you.
100%. Those are the elements for amazing sex.
Mhm. So this actually ties pretty well into another question, not so much about intimacy, but about kind of security and showing up in the relationship. So I'm going to switch us to that.
Sure.
So this person shared that they had some bad relationships in the past, and now they're in a relationship with a more secure partner. Their secure partner is wanting to commit all in on the relationship, and they're kind of on the sidelines. They've done a lot of personal work, but they're still finding this kind of block, emotional block to committing to their partner. And they asked us, what do we do with this? So Kim, how does this person work? They see their partner, they know this partner is a good partner, and internally they're feeling this block that goes, I can't quite get into this. How do they navigate that?
Well, number one, I would want to say it's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
And committing to somebody is scary.
Yeah.
Right? And it's okay if your partner wants something and you're not ready for it. I would listen to you. Right? Now, if it's something that you'd like to work on and move towards, then it's the part of talking to your partner and saying, I'm afraid of commitment. Because why? Because I'm scared that you'll leave me. I'm scared that I'm not good enough. I'm scared that somehow this is too good to be true and we'll end up hating each other. What is behind your fear?
Mm-hmm.
And can you share that?
Right. So again, what Kim is highlighting, even when we have a block to commitment, it makes sense because there's the fear. That's what drives the block. That what drives us not committing. And when we can start to talk about that, we create a new path for our partner to see where we're at and for us to honor where we're at. And that actually can help start to create some movement.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about, yeah, go ahead, Kim.
Well, what I was going to say is like this block we've been talking about a lot, right? So I want to like really identify it. The block is like what gets in my way of being secure, letting down, getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people see the block and sometimes it's not that big and sometimes it's really big. Okay. So, and they move away from it or they just accept it for what it is. And, as a therapist, I say to myself, oh, there's a block. Yay. Let's play with it. Right. I get, because it's the way to get connection. So as we're talking about the block and you see the block inside yourself, if you're listening to this and you go, well, my block is trauma, or my block is I'm afraid of being left, or my block is as I'm afraid of being cheated on, or I'm afraid of being told not enough. If we just stop there, it blocks security and it blocks living our fulfilling our needs and our wants personally.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would encourage is when you feel the block, because we all have them,
All of us.
all of us, is that we name it, right? We identify it and we sit with it and we begin to share it.
Mm-hmm.
As we begin to share the block, Brene Brown talks about this, about shame, like shame can't live or thrive in a loving presence, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting the quote 100%, but it's something along those lines. This is the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The block can't really stay that thick when it's held, when it's loved on, when it's accepted and neosporin is being smeared all over it.
Mm-hmm.
The block gets smaller. So as we're listening to this and we're like, oh man, I've got some blocks, identify them. Invite your partner into them.
Mm-hmm.
Have them smear neosporin all over it. Lean into it. Identify and share those fears. What Kyle and I have seen is the blocks get smaller and a profound reach between the partners where comfort, intimacy, healing begins to occur.
And I think this is what's so important about this work, and especially in the attachment lens. Again, we're not going, oh, you have this block, throw it away and do something different. We're saying, actually, it's there for a reason. Let's connect with the block. Let's understand the block. Let's learn about why that block is there. And then let's name it and share it with our partner. Let's let them into that and allow them to understand why it's there and work with us.
So good. So scary. So hard. And we see people do it all the time and thrive.
Right. And I think this is what's so profound. I think we have so many other questions we're not going to get to today because we're going to have to wrap up here soon. But so many people ask us, how do I have a secure relationship? How do I do that? How do I create that? It's pretty scary because you actually have to be able to take risk. And this is what Kim and I say in our sessions, even with our clients. Okay, I'm going to ask you to take a risk, right? Or, wow, you just took a risk and did something different. You did a detour moment and you shared a more vulnerable feeling. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think is so profound. When we have insecurity, which again comes from experiences, we weren't born insecure, it comes from experiences. It makes it so much more terrifying to be vulnerable, or even be emotionally aware of what's vulnerable on the inside, because it wasn't connected with. Whereas people who feel secure because they have had experience in safe relationships, in secure relationships, it's easier for them to share a little bit more of the vulnerability. Still terrifying, still scary, it's still a risk, but they're willing to do that because they have confidence that the other person will show up and tend to that vulnerable place. And so this is what's so hard, is if you do have anxious, avoidant, or even disorganized, it's going to feel like going into the vulnerable place. You might not know where it is, which is totally okay. It's okay not to know. Kim and I can maybe talk about that in a future AMA. But it's taking that risk. It's letting our partner into exactly where we're at and what we're feeling, even if I'm feeling defensive, rather than being defensive, right? And I'm feeling defensive because I'm getting this message that I'm not doing it right and you're disappointed in me. I want to do it right. I don't want you to feel alone, right? And so that is hard work. But that is what creates a feeling of security between partners when we go to those deeper places. And when we feel secure, all the other things, finances, sex, children, things become a lot easier because we feel secure and we're able to collaborate and work together so much more.
100%. I think the invitation is for people to lean into courage, because to be courageous does not mean that we don't feel fear. We feel fear.
Absolutely.
But we lean into it and do it because we know that's the best route. So the invitation is to be courageous. Lean in, show your wounds to somebody who is safe. Allow them to pour Neosporin all over that wound. Play with the block, name that block, and live out the best relationships you've ever had.
That's beautiful. So Kim and I want to thank you for those who have watched. Thank you for all of you who have shared questions. Some things that we want you to be aware of in terms of resources. Both Kim and I, we have our own websites. I have my website, kylebenson.net. Kim has her therapy practice, Healing Wellness Counseling, which I work in. And there's plenty of resources there. We also have a course that we created designed to help people create a secure relationship called the Secure Relationship Path. And so that'll be something I'll add into the blog post that talks about this. There's also some lovely books. There's a new book called Secure Love that just came out that talks so much about what Kim and I are talking about. And then another book that I often recommend to my couples is the Emotionally Focused Couples Workbook, the 2nd edition. And again, all these tools are doing exactly what Kim and I are talking about today, which is understanding why we do what we do, having it make sense, and being able to do detour moments to build safer and secure relationships. Kim, any final thoughts before we wrap up today?
Thank you for being with us. And
Yeah.
thank you, Kyle, for having me here. And secure attachment can be developed.
Yeah. And I think that's just, Kim, I know we got to end here. That's what's so important. That's why Kim and I do what we do. That's why we're even showing up for here, is because we see it with our clients. And we've seen it. We know there's research behind it, and it is possible. It's hard work, and it's possible.
So be courageous.
Thank you again for joining us. Kim and I will do this probably next month, and we will send out a summary about this. And please continue to submit questions and let us know how we can support you in creating a secure relationship. Thank you so much.
Thank you.